The NBA season is less than 2 weeks away, and obviously all of us, when it comes to us being amazing fans and super excited about our team, we're hoping that our team's going to do really great this season. But what if I told you that there are some teams headed into this new season that not we hope will do great or it would be awesome, they need to do great this season. But before we get into that, let's hear that intro. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, welcome back to another What's Next on Basketball YouTube video. I am your host, as always, Jeremy, and today as you saw in the intro of the video, we will be discussing a couple teams here. I have exactly 6 teams we'll be discussing, and it's about them needing, that's right, they need to do good this season. And some of you might be asking, like, what exactly do you mean by that? Like, how far do they have to go, or like how successful do you think they need to be considered great? It's different for each one, because some of them it's like, oh, they just need to be like a playoff contending team. Others it's they need to go as far as winning the championship this season, which is obviously, a tough task, but that's kind of the idea that I have and exactly what I'm going to do with all of them. Again, I have 6 teams on here. I'm going to go through each one, most of them will probably take about like 5 minutes or so to explain, not too super in depth. It's just like why I think they need to do it, and I'll discuss like what I feel like might happen if they don't do great this season. Maybe I'll explain a little bit how they can fix it. I don't know if I was to do it all. I'll probably talk about all of them and like how I think they'll fix it and everything. But I'm rambling on. You guys already know. But let's just get into the first one here. And yeah. The first team that I want to talk about on here when it comes to teams that need to do great is the Dallas Mavericks. So the reason why I put the Dallas Mavericks on here, I feel like it's pretty obvious for most people, but excuse me, I had a hiccup there. But to explain exactly why I feel this way, it's because I've said it multiple times in a lot of my videos, my idea that I have for the Mavericks when it comes to how it's going to end. And I believe that Luka is going to end up asking for a trade from the Mavericks. Now, there hasn't been any signs of like him wanting to leave. There's been signs of him being like frustrated with the team, yes, but nothing has come out where, at least that I've heard of, that has come out and said, oh, he wants a trade from the team or he's been thinking about leaving the team. But recently, with so many things like Giannis telling the team that he might leave if they don't do contending, and he ended up getting Damian Lillard, who was also in the same boat. He was tired of the Trailblazers. They haven't been treating him right. And he just wanted to go on a team that actually wants to compete. And that's when he went to the Bucks. So we just like, those are some recent ones. And then, of course, we have things like James Harden that wants to leave. Joel Embiid, what was it, a month or two ago, came out and said he does want to win a championship, whether it's with Philadelphia or another team, he wants to win a championship. So a lot of players that are, considered great, superstars and talent and all that, they're like considered top 25 players, top 10, top 15, whatever you want to say, they are starting to get a little bit of that itch where they want to win a championship. And I'm very positive. Well, in my opinion, Luka's like a top 5 player. I think I ranked him 3rd for my top 100 and it headed into the new season. And he's definitely going to want to win a championship sooner rather than later. He's entering, I think it's his 6th season. So he's obviously starting to get to that point where he's like, dang, I've been in the NBA for a while now, and the closest I ever got to an NBA championship was the conference finals. where he ended up losing. Who was it that he lost to? I think that was the year it was either the Warriors or the Suns. I think he was facing off. It was probably the Warriors, but I don't remember the team he was facing. I just remember he did go to the conference finals and ended up losing. That's the farthest he's ever been. So I feel like now that Luka's seen how these players are doing it and how they've been able to get huge success by asking for trades and stuff, I feel like that's at least in the back of his mind. And the other reason is also Kyrie Irving. Kyrie Irving is someone you always got to keep a lookout on when he's on your team, because he's been to multiple teams and he always says the same thing. He even said it with the Dallas Mavericks in one of the interviews a few days back. He was like, "Oh, I love this team and I want to stay here, blah, blah, blah." Never listen to Kyrie say that, because he always says that and then he ends up leaving. So that's the reason why I feel like you have to keep an eye on him. Yes, you did re-sign him. That's true. But that doesn't really secure you from Kyrie not leaving, especially in today's day and age with the whole player movement and players wanting to go to different teams and all that. This is, something you also have to keep an eye on, because he's always just a wild card with that situation. So that's mainly the reason why they're on this list. It's more of Luka and Kyrie potentially leaving the team if they just end up having another bad season, because we all remember how the Dallas Mavericks, I think, had the 11th seed, so they ended up just missing the playoffs. And they did it on purpose because they were trying to get Victor Wembanyama, which is cool, I get that, but they ended up not getting him. On the bright side, they did get Derek Lively, which I was hoping for them to get. And I do feel like, I'm not going to sit here and be like, oh, he's going to be the next superstar. But I do feel like he might be a good piece to have for the team that could help him a bit. But I don't think it's enough. And even heading into this season, I still don't feel like the team did great when it comes defensively. I feel like they're still lacking that part. Offensively, they're great. We already know that. But defensively, I'm a little bit worried. But overall, that's mainly my concerns when it comes to the team. And what I feel like is going to happen is if they don't, again, Luka's going to end up wanting to leave. Kyrie's going to end up wanting to leave. And yeah, that's just going to mess up everything they've been working on when it comes to the Mavericks. How can they fix this? Just simply get good defensive guys around Luka and Kyrie. Once you do that, I feel like you're a solid team. So hopefully the players you have now can go up that next level of defense, or hopefully you can sign someone in free agency or get a good trade, whatever it is. You need to figure it out, because this is a huge problem that I think the Dallas Mavericks, I'm sure they've already thought about and seen it before, but you really need to keep your eye on it, because if you have another season where you do bad, especially missing not even just like being in the play-in, but if you miss the entire thing, like if you're another lottery team this season, it's not gonna end well for you guys. So hopefully you guys can fix that. The next team that I'm going to talk about when it comes to teams that need to do great is the Chicago Bulls. You shouldn't be very surprised with me adding this team on the list, because everybody knows this. The Chicago Bulls just don't look great heading into the new season. They brought back majority of their players that they had last season, so they didn't really do any big time moves that could help them go to that next step towards, victory and winning. So they kept, it's Zach LaVine, Nikola Vucevic, Lonzo Ball, Alex Caruso, Kobe White, Patrick Williams, all those guys. And again, they still don't look like a championship team, so there's nothing really different about it. And the reason why I think they need to do great this season is because, not for the players where I think, the players are going to ask for a trade. This is more of the organization. If I'm just saying, again, these are just my ideas as to why I think what's going to happen. If I'm the organization, and I've realized for the past couple years, we'll say, I don't know how many years it is exactly, but for the past couple years, we have been trying to be a playoff contending team, and here and there, we do a pretty good job. We had that great year with DeRozan when he first arrived. I think it was the first year DeMar DeRozan was there, and they were a top 6 team. But since then, it's not looking too great. I believe they were playing last season. Yeah, because they were playing because they faced the Raptors, and I think that's when we had that funny little thing with DeMar DeRozan's daughter, blah, 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 all that stuff. But anyways, I feel like the organization is going to look at that and be like, okay, we're going to give them one more season, maybe this season, possibly next season, because I know Lonzo Ball's injured, so you have to put that into account. So they might give them maybe 2 more years, or maybe just only this year. And if they feel like, they're really not going anywhere, I feel like the organization is just going to say, you know what, screw it. And they're just going to blow up the team. They're going to trade everybody. They're going to try to get a bunch of picks, and they're just going to try to restart this team. It's very disappointing to see how the Chicago Bulls are doing, because obviously I want them to do great. I want them to be successful. I mean, I want all the teams to be successful. But with the Chicago Bulls, it sucks because of just the history. This was the team like Michael Jordan was on. Oh my God, why am I forgetting his name? Derrick Rose, sorry. Derrick Rose was on before he unfortunately got injured. Like, ever since Jordan left, they haven't had the best luck when it comes to success. So I'm really hoping they can figure it out this season. Zach LaVine, he did an interview during, I think it was Media Day, saying like he feels like this team can do it. He believes in him. Obviously he believes them, because if he didn't, then it's like, why even try to play? So I was like, oh, fair point, Zach. That makes sense. But yeah, that's what I think is going to happen. I think if the Chicago Bulls don't do good this season, they are going to rebuild. And that's what I feel about it. So if you don't feel the same way, it is what it is. But that's how I feel. As for how they can, what would the right word be? I guess fix it, yeah. As for how they can fix it, it's more of just really hope that your star players can just move on to that next level, and hopefully the guys on the bench and the role players can just help the team, move on to the next step, or just try to maybe not look in free agency, but try to get a really, really good trade during this season that will like move you guys to potentially playoff contenders. You guys aren't going to be like, championship contenders. I'm sorry to tell you that. For you guys, that probably would be great if you're championship contenders, even if you didn't win. But if you guys can at least be playoff contenders, I think that's a huge success for you guys. So I would say then at this point, just try to get a top 6 seed. I said it in the recent video when I talked about, this season being legendary. They can easily get a spot, like a top 6 spot in the East, because the East is wide open besides like the top 2, maybe top 3 seeds. But again, it could happen to them. All they gotta do is just, be good. That's simply what they gotta fix. It's just be good, don't be bad. I don't know what else to tell y'all. But yeah, that's all I really have when it comes to the Chicago Bulls. The next team that I want to talk about when it comes to teams that I think need to do good this season is the Los Angeles Clippers. So it's probably not that, shocking that the Clippers are on this list, because they've had Kawhi and Paul George for about 4 to 5 years now, and they really haven't done much besides, I think, 1 conference or maybe 2 conference appearances, but conference finals appearances. But other than that, that's really been it. When these two became a duo for the Clippers, we assumed that they were going to get at least 1 chip together. But so far, that has not happened. Instead, we've been seeing the Clippers, they usually have a pretty good regular season, but in the playoffs, either Paul, Kawhi, sometimes maybe Norman Powell, or somebody that's like a key piece for their team gets injured. So that has been a huge problem for them. And Kawhi's always getting injured. Paul George, he gets injured too, and a lot of times it's usually near the end of the season, near the playoffs again, when he gets injured. So it's been a while since we've seen both of them together in like a full series match in the playoffs. So at this point, I feel like they really, really need to do good this season, because at this point, I guess it's still for them, it's championship or bust. Because if you guys don't do good this season, I think it might be time for the organization to look at each other and say, okay, these two are not doing good. Each year they're getting older and older. I think both Kawhi and Paul are in their mid-30s. And the older they get, the more injuries they're going to get. Like, look at LeBron. He is still a great player, yes. But he gets injured a lot more because your body is getting older. You can't take that much, punches anymore. So sooner or later, these guys aren't going to be able to do it. They still can't do it now. every year they just end up messing up in the playoffs. So I really, and now that they've, I know they got Russell Westbrook's another good piece for them, but it's just one of those things where they really just need to do good. Because in my opinion, what I think is going to happen is if they don't do good, again, the organization's going to look at each other and say, yo, let's just rebuild. Because this is just ridiculous at this point. Or maybe they're going to start doing trades. And it's not like that's like a way out of the window theory of mine. Because we saw during the offseason that just happened that there were some trade rumors when it came to Paul George. Now, the trades didn't happen. You know, he's still with the team, but there were rumors about that. So clearly the Clippers are starting to get interested in trying to trade one of them to see what happens. Maybe they can try to help Kawhi. I don't really know how that's really going with that. But overall, clearly the organization's starting to get more and more ideas about splitting these two up because they can clearly see that they're not getting the job done. So if Kawhi and Paul cannot prove themselves this season, which at this point you might either be making the NBA Finals or winning it all, it's not going to look good for them. So as for, you know, how they can fix it, the way for them to fix it is not really something that like you're able to do. It's just simply hope that they don't get injured. That's all I can really think about, because it's not like they have a bad team. They really don't. The Clippers don't have like bad players. You know, I always make fun of the Clippers. You guys know that. I think the Clippers are such a laughingstock team. And just looking at them is just, I laugh at them and make fun of them because they have such a great team, yet they can't do anything. They can't get anything done and win a championship. So that's the only answer I can think of as to how to fix it is just don't get injured. Like, I know that's like, oh yes, of course, genius. Like, of course they don't want to get injured. Like, why would they? Like, I don't know what else to tell you. You guys have a good team. Just don't get injured. Like, I don't know. That's all I got to say for them. The Los Angeles Lakers. I put them on this list for very obvious reasons. I talked about it many times in a lot of the episodes and videos I made. They have a really, really good team. This roster now has, LeBron James, Anthony Davis, Austin Reeves. Those are the only guys I remember the team. Oh, Rui Hachimura is on there. Here, let me pop it up here and I'll tell you guys the full roster, because the Lakers did a phenomenal job signing a lot of good players this offseason. As you guys know, LeBron James during, Game 4 against the Nuggets and Lakers, you know, when the Nuggets ended up sweeping the Lakers, they asked LeBron, you know, how he felt about, you know, how this season was. And he did feel like this was a failure because at this point of his career, he wants to win championships. The Lakers know this, the front office, and they were like, oh crap, we need to do something. Because we know that there are rumors, I don't know if they're fully true, but when Bronny does make it to the NBA, LeBron, I heard, does want to play with him, which means he'll most likely go to the team that Bronny's playing, because when LeBron's contract ends, that's when Bronny should be in the NBA. So he'll most likely go wherever Bronny's drafted. Of course, there is the chance that maybe if the team's doing really, really good, LeBron will stay with them. But as far as I know, when it comes to the rumor, that's, you know, what's happening. But as for the roster, back to what I was saying, they have Anthony Davis, Rui Hachimura, Jackson Hayes. They have LeBron James, Scottie Pippen Jr., Torrance Prince, Austin Reeves, Cam Reddish, D'Angelo Russell, Jared Vanderbilt, Gabe Vincent. Gabe Vincent was such a huge piece for them. I feel like Gabe Vincent will be really, really good for the Lakers. And then they also have Christian Wood, which I think, you know, Christian Wood could definitely be good with the Lakers. They also got some other guys here. They don't have a picture of them, and their names don't sound familiar. So I'm going to assume these guys are rookies that they just drafted. So I can't really say much about them since, you know, they just started. But as for the guys I did mention, that's a really good team right there. I have a lot of hopes for the Lakers. As for, you know, as for why I put them here and why I think they need to do good, it just goes back to what I was saying with LeBron. LeBron is getting closer and closer to leaving the Lakers to go see his son. And LeBron has also mentioned how he does want to win championships at this point of his career. And with situations we've been seeing, I mentioned it previously in the video with Damian Lillard, Giannis, they've been saying things that are making the team, want to bring more players. So if the Lakers can't do that, they can't bring stars over here to help LeBron win his fifth championship, then LeBron's going to go somewhere else. And Anthony Davis, I know they want him to be that next star. I know they really, really do. The whole point of Anthony Davis being there was for him to take the keys from LeBron and lead the Lakers to victory. And he could still do that, but I don't know if he'll do it at the level that we thought he was going to do it. That's just my opinion. He's always getting injured. He's always getting hurt. He's very, very injury prone. So he seems like another guy that sooner or later the Lakers are just going to look at and be like, yeah, this ain't going to work. Because every year he's just getting more and more injured. Or he's getting injured more. Actually, no, that's what it is. He's just getting more injured. So what I think is going to happen, again, is same way from most of the other teams. They might end up, LeBron leaving. The team might end up saying we're just going to blow up the team, and they might try to do a rebuild because it's just not working. And I feel like this is their last chance at actually being good and trying to win a championship. But as for how they can fix it, it's well, one of the ways they can try to fix this is, since they have so many great young guys, they have a lot of good young guys that have a bright future ahead of them, they could use those pieces. Now, I don't know if they have any picks, because I know they were doing a lot of different trades and stuff, giving picks away, so I don't know how many the Lakers has. But if they do have any, they can give the picks and the good stars that they have coming up. Obviously, maybe not Austin Reeves, because I know Austin Reeves will probably stay, but I'm talking about some of the young guys there where they feel like most likely they're not going to stay on the team. But they're good trade pieces, so they can use that to hopefully get a star that could help LeBron and AD help them win a championship. Or the other option could be, since you have so many young guys that I did say were great, hope that those guys can fill in that role, fill in that spot, and just be a good player. Again, you have Gabe Vincent, who's on the team now. I think he's going to be a really good point guard for them. You have Austin Reeves, who had an incredible season last year, and I'm sure will try to do up his game from last season. You have Rui Hachimura, who's great. Jackson Hayes, who I think being with the Lakers could really help his career. Same thing with Christian Woods. So you have a couple options there that could help you guys. And yeah, that's all I would say. That's all I feel about when it comes to the Lakers. The next team that we have to talk about when it comes to all these teams and why they need to win is the 76ers. So the 76ers I put on here for very obvious reasons. The team overall is just in shambles. It looks really bad what's going on with them. And with the whole James Harden situation, Joel Embiid recently came out saying, had some comments to say, which I'll explain in a bit. And just overall, I know when it comes to Sixers fans, they think they still have a chance because James Harden said he will be playing this season. Now, for those of you that don't know what happened, let me do a quick little review for you guys. So, basically, James Harden came out and said that he didn't want to play for Daryl Morey or any organization that he was a part of, and, called him a liar. So no one really knew as to why he called him a liar. There are rumors. I don't know if it's 100% true, but there were rumors that he apparently was supposed to get a max contract from the Sixers, and the Sixers basically ended up changing those plans, so that's why he's upset. And that's the rumor. And now with what James Harden has come out and said a few days ago, where he was talking about how that he wanted to retire as a Sixers, but he said the front office had other plans. So that kind of does help with that rumor as to what might have happened between them. And I'm sure one of these days, sooner or later, it'll come out and we'll see what the problem was. But basically, James Harden doesn't want to be there. And Joel Embiid, the comments he made were about, how he does want to win a championship, whether it's with Philadelphia or another team. So clearly, he's also starting to get a little jumpy with trying to win a championship. So they only have not that much longer before the team just starts going to shambles. And I know people are trying to make the excuse that, oh, they're a good team, they'll win, but let's talk about this whole process thing real quick when it comes to the 76ers and Joel Embiid. Since Joel Embiid has been drafted to the 76ers, the farthest they ever gotten was the second round. They never went to the conference finals, and they never went to the NBA finals. And it's not looking great. Joel Embiid looks like he's going to leave in a season or two. James Harden's leaving. He said that too, that he's not re-signed with them, that this relationship between him and the Sixers is basically done. He's going to play this season, and then that's it. And if you guys are wondering why he's going to play, he doesn't just sit out. Well, there's a new rule that basically if James Harden decides not to play or do any games, he's going to get like this huge consequence, a huge punishment that the NBA put for all their players. So he has really no choice at this point besides play with them. And it kind of does suck as to what I think will happen. You know, I just said it. Joel Embiid will most likely leave. James Harden's leaving. And this whole idea that the Sixers had for the team is over. The process that they had is over. So everything they worked for will be for nothing. And it's just going to be terrible for Sixers, the front office, and for the fans. How can they fix it? At this point, honestly, I have no idea. The best answer I can give is to somehow make James and Joel happy. Joel is still a chance that you can do as to make him happy and win a championship. That's the other thing. It's just at this point you have to win a championship. As for James Harden, at this point it's near to impossible to fix that relationship. It's basically flushed down the toilet. It's over. There's nothing they can really do about it. But again, you never know. This is sports, so anything can happen. But that's what I'd say they would have to fix it, because there's honestly no other way that they can win a championship. And again, if you think they're winning a championship this year, yeah, sorry, Sixers fans, that's not happening. Every team we've seen where if they're having tension between them, it never ends well. So, yeah, that's all I really have to say for the Sixers. So, if they're, for some reason, if the front office is watching this video, you guys got to figure out something very, very soon. All right. Now, the last team that I want to talk about for this video, which, you know, hear me out, guys, before you start throwing your pitchforks and texting in the comments, just hear me out. It's the Boston Celtics. Now, I know. Put it down. Put the pitchforks down. Let me talk. Let me cook. Here's why I think the Celtics are a team that needs to do great this season. And it's simply because with how the team is now, you guys are championships or bust. Hear me out. For the past couple years, the Celtics have been pretty good at during the playoffs, usually making it somewhat far, looking like championship contenders most of the years. And it's just, you know, Jaylen Brown and Jason Tatum could not get the job done. And, you know, actually, this season's probably the most recent I can talk about it, where people were looking at these two and thinking, man, maybe they're not a good duo. Maybe we should try to trade one of them. The whole big talk was, should the Celtics give Jaylen Brown a new contract? Because people felt like he wasn't worth the contract and he wasn't worth the time being on this team. Obviously, the Celtics kept him and felt like he was worth all their money. And they believe in him. And that's the problem. You know, we saw them before. Well, I think it was, during the 2022 NBA Finals where they faced the Warriors. They were very, very close at winning. Only 2 games from winning the championships. And everyone looked at them and said, oh, you know, we can win, we can do this. But then the next season, they lost to the Heat in, 7 games? And then there's the people that are like, oh, well, they were able to push it to 7 games. They were able to come back, I think it was like from a 3-1 series. And it was like, yeah, okay, cool. But I wouldn't even call that an accomplishment, because with the Miami Heat against your team, there should have been no reason for you guys to even like make them have you guys. First of all, you shouldn't have let the Heat even lead the series, and you definitely shouldn't have made them force you to 7 games. Your team was way better than theirs. You should have been to the NBA Finals again 2 years in a row. And the fact that you guys are losing to that same team that beat you guys like that before is ridiculous. It's just horrible. Like I don't know how you guys are just losing to them like this. I don't understand how the Heat are your guys like kryptonite. Now I know Jimmy Butler. I talked about it before. Jimmy Butler's nice. He is an incredible player, and it is what it is in sports. When it comes to the playoffs, there's teams that are hot and there's teams that are not. But it's just crazy to me how you guys are facing mostly the same team every year, and you guys are just forcing them to go like 6 games, 7 games like this. Like, this should be an easy win for you guys. Now, heading into this new season, the Heat aren't looking so great. And especially since they didn't get Damian Lillard. So you guys do have a chance. And then now you added Kristaps Porzingis. You added Drew Holiday. You traded away, Marcus Smart, Malcolm Brogdon, Robert Williams. So that's my only worry, is that your guys' bench looks a little bit shaky, I'll say. And as for what I think will happen if you don't win this season, I think it's going to come to the point where the organization's going to have to look at each other. Like I said it before with the other teams, same thing. Like the organization is going to look at each other and say, can these guys win a championship together? Because we've had them for many years and they're not cutting it. So they might try to trade one of the top stars for somebody else that they feel like will get the job done. And that's honestly what it seems like for them. So like if they don't do really good this season, I think it's going to end up being some huge changes where some superstars might end up looking at a new team the following season. How do they fix it? Well, it's quite simple, actually. Just win a championship. Now, maybe I'm being a little, it's not simple, but that's the only answer I really have for you guys is you need to win a championship. Your team is too good, especially heading into this new season, for you guys not to win. The competition heading into the East, where like when I look at the teams and I'm like, here's the teams that can beat you, frankly, there's only one answer that I can be 100% confident that could beat your team, and it's the Bucks. The Milwaukee Bucks are another great team that made some great moves during this offseason, and they're the only ones I see that could potentially go they couldn't go potentially against the Celtics. They can go toe-to-toe with the Celtics. And as for the West, the West is a whole nother discussion that I can't even get into right now. But the point is, what I'm trying to say is you guys are championships or bust at this point. You guys have had too many chances where you should have won, you could have won, and you didn't, because you guys end up messing up. And now heading into this new season, there is no excuse. You had a couple excuses for the other seasons, but this season's like, if you guys don't win, then people are just not going to take you seriously. You're the Boston Celtics. You guys are supposed to be good. Like, you guys are a very decorated team when it comes to success. Show them why you guys are known as the Boston Celtics. Why you are known as the, 17-time champions. Like, you guys had incredible players on your team that have played. And you still have incredible players playing, aka Jason, Jalen, Kristaps, Drew. Like, I guess you could include Derek White as well, because he's pretty good, and some of the guys on the bench could maybe be considered, but you know what I'm saying. Just win. Alright, and with that, that's the end of the video. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Make sure to give it a like and subscribe, and yeah, that was really the teams. I only had 6 teams as for why I think they need to do great this season. And I'm sure there's maybe other teams you guys could have told me that I should have put down there that you can give your own reasons for. But again, I hope you guys enjoyed the video. I hopefully will try to make another obviously, not try, but I'll make some more videos. Hopefully I can upload one sometime this week. If not, then I'm also going to try to do a podcast episode. It's just, again, where we're starting to get into the season, but there's not really any crazy news to really discuss. I've been watching the preseason. The preseason's been pretty good. I saw that Victor and Chet game, which was nice. I saw Victor also go crazy against the Heat. It's been nice seeing these games. And I'm just ready for the real games, which is why, if you guys were confused as to why I didn't talk about any preseason games, I didn't do any videos, it's just because I don't really care for the preseason games. I'm more for the actual games that matter. But yeah, that's all I really have to say. Again, thanks for watching, and I hope you all have a great day.